Greetings, salutations, and other big words. My name's Ethan. My handle is Wrangler. Welcome to Frequency Studios. It's another Monday, another weekly Wing It. And first we'll say hello to the co-host, and then we'll hop into the chat. Starting off this week, Trippy Soul, how you been?
Pretty good. I'm actually here. Not tipsy soul. You get trippy soul this time. So
will that
not sober,
transition
but
throughout
not
the
drunk.
night?
What's that?
Will that be variable throughout the night?
No. Because I don't have any alcohol, sadly, in my place. Need to restock on the beer.
What brand?
It's hard to choose. In
We
San Diego,
know
I
which
got
one it
microbrews.
ain't, but
There's so many choices here.
and Raven Nevermore, how you been, man?
Hey, been busy. Just packing up the house. We're almost there.
Yeah.
I think
So,
we're
what's the
scheduled for-
deadline you're looking at?
I think we're getting pictures next week, Monday, and I think right after the pictures and the 3D tour, it should get listed.
All right. And Redoubt, how you doing tonight, man?
I cook the food, you order the food. We do this for 40 years and then we die. Sound good to me? I don't know. Me and my coworkers have been quoting that all week, even though we don't work at a restaurant. I've been doing good of.
I used to work at restaurants. You just gave me flashbacks. All of a sudden, I hear the nonstop beeping of a fryolator, and every time I try and turn around, someone going, behind you, behind you. Herman, what's up, man?
I farted.
Oh, yeah? Is that what you let out after you breathe in the carbon monoxide?
Oh, yeah. So, had a beer. It was expected.
Yeah, so we got you for a short time tonight. Glad you
Yes.
could stop in.
For such witty and insightful comments like that one.
Yes.
So
If we don't have Herman farting on here, we don't have a show.
Nope.
Billy Bobsack.
Kaplaw.
Kaplop.
Oh, that
What's
was
going
a
on, man?
Kapla.
No, that's a kapla with a mic drop. It's a kaplop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Raven, you just brought something up right before the show started. That sounded pretty interesting. I hadn't heard about this before now.
I'm trying
So
to find it.
what's with this lady, the lizard lady?
I'm trying to find it.
So there's a number of different things going on. One of the things is at one point she has one arm up and one arm down with the two fingers pointed, and people are speculating that has something to do with demonology and stuff and everything. But she's yelling and screaming about she's going to get off the plane because there's this crazy person at the back of the plane that's not real. And I think at one point she said something about being a lizard person, or maybe that's just something that other people have speculated that she saw or something. I'm not completely sure.
Oh, and I just realized I was looking over wondering why I wasn't seeing anyone in chat, and then I hit a different button. I don't know what happened, but now everyone's here. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Sorry about this, guys. All right. First in tonight was A.S. Bernert. Evening, everyone. Also joining us is Skunk's Workshop. Good to see you. Gino, what you got? Time to go eat, and I'm probably going to be offline after that. So I just want to say hi and have a great stream, everyone. Thanks, Gino. Good to see you stop in. And then, yes, no problem. So you have a good night, Gino. And then also down in the chat is Herman, who likes to dip everywhere.
Yep. I'm triple dipping, baby.
All right. Well, before that gets any weirder, Raven, you were saying?
I think Trippy Soul posted a link to YouTube in there.
Oh,
Yeah, this is like a 4-minute
Yes.
video. So this is a decoy voice. You ever hear of decoy voice?
No.
YouTuber. Pretty funny. Makes some nice little social commentary videos. I haven't subscribed to him, but keeps popping up every now and then because he's the algorithm, I'm following the same silly videos. It's happening in the news. But yeah, this one's crazy. She's crazy. I think she's just nutso, and this is like
watch her turn out to be right and
Yeah.
we'll look like morons after.
Delirious fucking delusional behavior. Just complete breakdown of what was going on. You'd be surprised how many people around here are delusional and still
I get the right
operable.
link?
Like until you start asking them questions and you realize that they're freaking nuts.
Is
What
this
the heck?
is this
No,
the right
what the heck
link?
is that one?
That's the
Sorry,
link.
that's the wrong one. But that was cool engineering. Actually, I shared that with
Yeah.
Pokemon because
Let's talk about engineering now.
All right.
It would probably
Well,
be more
then,
that one
informative,
popped up.
but
That's weird.
alas,
All right, I shared it just now.
that's all I can think of.
Nice.
No, that house spins around, so you have to figure out how it does the plumbing and the electrical stuff and like that. So I
Oh,
clicked on it. I'm
wow.
like, oh, cool. No, the last one I just sent is the actual video of the woman in the plane going nuts.
Oh, yep,
And
that's
there's
it.
a reason why I'm getting the
It's not pulled up on the big screen,
Can either believe
Oh,
it or
it's
they
not
cannot
sharing.
believe
No.
it.
Nope. Just the
Hang
audio.
but you can just hear the distress in her voice. She's like frightened over this guy, and just sitting there, you know.
I
Get it?
have it. It just didn't share. Let me try that again. All right, that's better.
Yep, that's her.
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 She
Dun,
looks
dun,
like
dun.
that. Look at that.
It's supernatural, Karen.
You can kind of see the guy with the green hood right there.
Stop.
Kind of past him.
I'm getting the stop and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe
Watch your
it.
fingers.
I don't give two but I am telling you right now that
She's
that
drunk.
right there
She is
not real.
hammered.
And you can sit on this plane and you can die with them or not. I'm not going to.
So there's a lot of wild theories coming out about this story. There's new videos of the woman being posted.
Carrot Top was on this flight apparently.
Why does she sound like Linus from Shark Boy versus Lava Girl?
Telling you she's hammered.
Well, if you actually
Ray
a
Bale.
little bit further on, it covered some other. He makes some funny commentary, like goes off about it's stuff, making a conspiracy theory stuff. But he also pointed out there's been other incidents of people on planes just kind of losing it recently, like trying to exit the plane and like having to be stopped.
Yeah,
They're going
there
like a
was-
little on the
The
planes.
channel is Decoy.
Decoy voice.
Ray Dale,
Videos
why
is
did you
not
bring
real.
up Shark Gar and Lava
Make
Boy?
videos get creepier.
Because I want to cause you trauma.
God.
So now
Watching that with my Mexican cousins when it came out.
Yeah, actually, Carrot Top comments on this like near the end or something. You'll see
Th-
comment and like, okay,
this
so we got to get off the
happened in-
plane because this woman.
this
Lava
happened
Girl
in
and Shark
Dallas,
Boy was a great movie.
Oh, that's some other guy that had to get hauled off.
and the plane was actually had
I
not
remember-
In
taxied
the
yet.
middle.
Whereas this guy that was trying to get off the plane, that plane was actually in
fins.
flight, and they had to tackle him and prevent him from opening the
Mhm.
door in flight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Redoubt, you on Heterocro Media, you do the you take two things that typically don't go together,
Yeah.
you put them together. You
Yeah.
should put Shark Boy and Lava Girl together with Citizen Kane.
Don't give me ideas. Give me ideas. Give me ideas and a lot of beer. It could be done.
I mean, with a little bit of special effects, it would have been, I think, probably an outstanding movie.
How about
Like-
Schindler's List and Sausage Party?
Yeah.
No, I won't go that far.
Yeah. So, was it ever said what prompted that whole freak out, or?
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
no-
called Schnapps.
Schnapps and pills, man.
Can I have some?
not that I've heard
I
of.
want to
but
see the lizard people.
Probably
Someone,
saw a DMT elf.
someone was raiding the mini bar in the back of the plane.
There's been a bunch of memes with like AI generated art and stuff. But one thing is apparently she's not been heard of since she got off the plane.
It's because she's at a bar face.
Well, yeah, no,
down.
she wasn't arrested or anything. Yeah, there was no like charges pressed against her or anything.
Well, I think Skunks has the right idea. You first post, yeah. They say she was drinking before the flight.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
But I'm more inclined to believing her since it's more fun. There we go.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, would she?
Speaking of
The-
lizard people.
Oh,
Hey
Oh, hi,
guys.
Maji.
Hey,
wow, wow.
Are you an extra dimensional lizard person?
Apparently.
Oh my god, it's Maji Chad.
Billy Bob is still convinced I am a Chad. Sorry, I was late getting off.
No
No
worries.
worries. Now you could come on here and embarrass yourself with the rest of us.
As
And
long
talk
as
about
you're
the
still
lizard
Maji.
people.
The lizard
Assuming you're
people
Maji,
of
not
what?
lizard.
I'm afraid.
Lizard people on a
apparently-
plane.
Apparently, they had the audacity to book a flight. I guess somebody had to get to Tulsa or something.
So you've heard of snakes on a plane, right? Now we got
Uh-huh.
lizards on a
Unfortunately,
plane.
yes.
This is the sequel.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Lizard people.
But you want lizards on a plane? I'm sorry, it sucked because you can't make a Samuel L. Jackson sequel without Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
See, I thought you were talking about that new video game coming out in September.
Oh, what game is this?
Oh, it's being released for console. It might be already out for PC. I can't remember. It's D&D
Are you
based.
talking about Baldur's Gate 3?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, that's a bear of a time.
I heard about that.
Nice
So
pun.
many people who are offended by this have never played CRPGs and RPGs that have allowed you to do all kinds of fucked up shit before.
I saw a clip of the video though. This was just weird.
Trippy, did you ever play Wastelands 3?
I don't think so.
You can fuck a goat in it, and you can go to a doctor and admit that you fucked a goat, and he'll call you a goat fucker the entire game. Also, it
And
was
you know
clearly
this how?
meant as a joke. That's when they had the squirrel bit into it. When it got the squirrel just fucking eating its nut and just sees it and goes, "Oh!" drops.
You know, this may be the quickest time we've spiraled off the rails.
Oh, we're
Right.
just getting started.
No, I'm just kind of laughing about the moral outrage. And it's like,
I'll
Okay.
never look at goat cheese the same way again.
No,
play
Jeez.
Wasteland 3, people.
So what are you
used
guys
to go to
talking
Whole
about?
Foods to get goat cheese and no, I think it was it was goat's cheese because I was trying to be healthy and realized I was just wasting my money.
Redoubt. Do you remember Fallout New Vegas?
I know of it.
Well, you never played it,
No.
Trippy?
I played it, yeah.
You remember the robot?
Which
Which robot?
robot?
There was a couple
The
of them.
cowboy robot?
Yeah,
Yes, man?
you know a very specific robot in that game.
Yes, man. That right?
The one at the brothel.
I don't know how you play that game, Billy. I think I play that game very differently from you.
I think you two may play two very different games.
No,
actually.
Trippy, I don't think you've ever
Same
actually
packaging,
encountered the
different
robot in
discs.
Fallout New Vegas, the brothel robot. It just
Oh,
makes
wait, is it that
fisting
the,
jokes at you.
Oh, this vaguely is that the Sodom and Gomorrah like place?
No, it's in the Vegas Strip, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I haven't played the game in years.
Oh,
Decade
hello, Storytell.
Yeah.
All right.
I just got my audiobook report in today. I've sold 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25, 29 audiobooks in June.
Nice.
freaking awesome.
That's in frickin'
I-
Europe.
I need
Hold up.
I need an
Yes.
applause sound clip to play.
Can you increase
I
that
don't
by
have one.
40?
Maybe next week. Yeah,
How much would be 40 plus?
just as an FYI, when you go find a way, they open you up to a bunch of different vendors, and there's this one called Storytel, and they sell like to everywhere where they don't speak English. And this year, I looked on looked in my March report. I got my March reporting back. I had sold 29 freaking audiobooks to them, and I'm like, these places don't even speak English. And now
But
I
they're-
got another one.
They're not translated, are they?
No.
Huh.
Maybe they're learning how to speak English.
Well, I mean, it's like Norway, and most of the world speaks English. But it's like I didn't think that they would actually buy a freaking audiobook. Holy cow!
Hey, by the way, in all your research for doing fantasy novels, you didn't accidentally do a summoning spell, did you?
No.
Then where'd this guy come from? What's up, Stormcrow?
Stormcrow! Hello.
That was probably an after effect.
Yeah.
Slipstream, tearing the space time continuum.
Tell us you have the reverse spell. Please tell us you have the reverse spell.
I don't think there's no controlling for that guy. It's
no.
Stormcrow.
Side effects
No
may
spell
include
controls
loose
him.
bowels, thinning hair, and Stormcrow.
Okay, I'm done. Holy crap!
Where was it?
Shout out to
Okay.
Trippy, man. So I was trying to write a spell. I wrote down what I wanted. It didn't make any sense, and Trippy helped me make sense of it so that it would fit as a spell.
I did?
Yeah, you did.
What's that?
The IronAge poet won by helping me make a rhyme out of a spell.
What's up, Guilty?
Hey, you guilty.
Yeah, I like the whole idea of spells like kind of being a rhyme. I can't remember. There's some other movies or something like that will do it. Like the only way the magic spell will work is in a rhyme scheme.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, instead of a rhyme scheme, here's a borderline crime scene.
I don't know if I want to watch this. I'm scared.
What is this?
You should be. When I first
What the hell? What did I just
Um,
witness?
I'm
a
scared.
clip from
I
Baldur's
feel
Gate.
violated.
Wow.
That's what they were talking about with the whole bear scene in the new. I think this was called Baldur's Gate, right?
Yeah.
So is there going to be like another bear scene in the new Baldur's Gate coming out? I hope not.
Well, the thing is,
I
believe
I wonder if the cocaine will kick in halfway through and that bear goes nuts.
I believe that that's the bear form of a druid character, and the problem, the supposed problem, is the fact that her human character is stuck in the form of a child.
Huh. Yeah, I'm still.
I still don't know what that is, and
my
I
eyes
think
have
I'm
not
more
recovered
grateful
from
than
that.
ever.
You
I'm
never
so
need to
grateful
know.
I have no idea
Yeah.
what that is.
I
Don't
don't
like
know what
it.
that is, and I'm afraid
Don't
to
Google
ask.
it. Don't Google it. Don't Google
You
it.
don't, you
I
don't
have
want to
not.
know.
Don't Google it.
Please
I
don't
regret-
let me know.
I regret so much.
Cocaine bear orgy.
There's something to make Stormcrow's day. Yeah. So, how far do you think is too far? When they're doing
That
these
was
things?
definitely too far.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of that happens in actual mythology, like that. Things get really weird. For example, what was it, 6 or 8 leg? I think it's 8-legged horse that Odin rides is actually one of Loki's kids because Loki turned himself into a female horse and got knocked up by another horse and gave birth to
Not to mention the
lady legs there.
Romania was saved by the babes feeding off the wolf.
Oh, you mean the Romans?
Yeah, the Romans.
Yeah, Romulan and Remus and Romulus. I know my Roman history.
Well, I just thought, I think it's Romania where they actually have a statue of it, though, isn't it?
Yes. No, I don't know. I think that there was a bronze statue in Rome, but I could be wrong.
Hey, skunks.
But
Hi, Guilty.
if that's part of the lore, although I have no context for this, so as much as I want to just poo-poo it because it looked utterly ridiculous to me, I do know that there are cases like that in mythology. So, what do you think? Just if they're going to do something like that, where's the line? Like, I think they crossed it here. That was just too weird with the bear grinning like that. I was like, that's borderline nightmare fuel. But what do
Yeah,
you think?
well,
If something like that is in there, implying is far better than showing as much as they did.
All I'll say is I'm not buying the game.
Oh, I'm
druids and
not
their
either.
fun.
That's my first impression of whatever the Baldur's Gate series is that video. So it didn't exactly sell me on it.
I'd rather go back and play Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
Rather not play any of them.
Baldur's
In
Gate
a
was
weird
actually
I'll be
way,
playing it.
Stormcrow, I guess, kind of. But it's more, shape shifting, whatever you call it. But still,
So is sacrificing your children to Moloch. There are certain things about ancient history I don't think we need to romance about
yeah.
or wax.
There's
I'm not
actually a lot
romancing
of
about
things we
either
don't need to
one of
wax
those
about.
things.
Yeah.
Speaking of the whole Molech thing, Angel Studios, Sound of Freedom. That movie is kicking some serious butt out there at the box office.
It is.
Right here. haven't
It's
seen it.
doing
Yeah.
well. It's getting great reviews, and apparently the establishment is fuming.
Yep.
I really need to go see it.
It's just
So-
fuel for QAnon. Just fuel for QAnon conspiracy theories. I'm talking
Actually, I found out about this. I happened to catch one of the main bad guys in that film was on Latino Slant with Polly this morning, and he was doing a live interview.
Yeah.
So what they did was they gave the kids a totally different script so that they weren't exposed to what it was actually about. They actually protected the kids in that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
it's
it's weird.
definitely
People are going and writing articles ripping this thing like it's some horrible thing, and these are the same people that would defend cuties.
Well, actually, one of them did. I forget which one I was listening to. It might have been Tim Pool, where Rolling Stone actually defended cuties as being a portrayal of coming of age, and
Yes,
then sitting
okay.
there, it's like, do you
It-
not realize how sick you are?
Right?
Yeah, and then they'll turn around and
Wow.
say that wanting to rescue kids from this is some kind of right wing thing. No, that's a human thing.
Yeah,
That's not right or
Yeah.
left. That's just
and and this
psycho
thing
or non-psycho.
this thing cuts across a lot of people who may have different ideas about or philosophies on economics, this, that, and the other. Most everybody agrees that you leave the kids alone, and that's the reason why this is the reason why I think that they've pushed it too far, and people are now pushing back.
Yeah,
And it's not
because
just the right
understandably-
wing wackos anymore.
understandably, a lot of people probably didn't believe it or wanted to not believe it so bad they didn't think it was real.
Yeah.
Now they're
Denial.
starting
Yeah,
to
they're in
realize after
denial.
Epstein and now Ghislaine Maxwell, this ain't a joke. This isn't some cool idea in a fictional setting. No, it's actually happening, and there are people out there trying to stop it, but it gets ignored by the news. They don't just ignore it; they actively avoid it.
Yeah, one of my mom's church friends actually works with the police whenever they go and rescue people. Not just kids, they deal with a bunch of different things. And so, I guess it was earlier this year, or late last year, whenever the FBI went and broke up a whole bunch of things across multiple different states. At least in her area, she went around with the police and helped them take those women in.
Yeah. See, Stormcrow says, what you're saying is you don't want to slaughter your children for power? You're never going to conquer the world unless you break a couple eggs. Didn't Waco teach you that?
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
And on that note, guys, I have to take off.
I don't blame you after that
Run!
one.
Don't get incriminated.
On that high point. I
Oh,
gotta
so
take
you're
off.
telling us something, Herman. You hiding something?
Go see Sound of
No.
Freedom.
No, yeah, he's hiding from us.
Yes.
He has to go see Sound of
No,
Freedom.
I'm not hiding. I'm fleeing. It's a big
Fling, yeah.
difference.
You
See
got a
ya,
point
Herman.
there.
Put your way.
Thanks for coming on, man.
No problem. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, see
Later.
ya.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, but yeah, Stormcrow. If that's what I got to do to rule the world, well, have you looked at the world? I don't want to rule that thing anyway.
It's not a
Needs a
whole
lot of
lot
work.
left.
It's too much of a fixer upper for me. I'm just gonna go tend to my corner.
Well, just go make friends with Elon Musk and move to Mars.
You know what? I got sunscreen. I'll go to Venus.
Wait. How you gonna breathe the air then?
Very carefully.
Who said he needs air?
Oh,
We
yeah,
don't
sorry,
need
dude, I'm
air
not
where
ignoring
we're going. Say, you're trying to talk to me about poetry. Why? Oh,
you. Yeah, I'm not ignoring you, dude. I just that one night we were supposed to meet up. I told you I was dog sitting for this dude. Oh, this poor neighbor. This guy I know at the bar. He got a new puppy recently, and he said he's been up for like 4 days or 6 days with like 4 hours, or 4 days with 6 hours, like one of those combinations. Like he had like no sleep. He was getting sleep deprived. So Friday, I offered to take his puppy to just dog sit so he can like get some sleep, get some rest. And he came back on Saturday. He looked like a different guy. Even everyone at the bar saw him like, oh my gosh, he looks so much better now. I was like, yeah, thanks you.
amazing what a little rest can do for you.
Yeah, just I
Ooh,
think he
that
said he
puppy
slept
is
for
very
12
high
hours.
maintenance.
Yeah, that thing. Maji heard him, I think. Yeah, Maji.
Oh
heard him.
yeah, that thing was terrorizing your tiny apartment.
Yeah, like as soon as I brought it in, he like went after my socks, went after like underwear and stuff. I had to like shut doors and things around. It was, woof, it took a little while to calm him
Goodness.
down.
Did it make as much noise as Maji's smoke detector?
Way more.
Um,
It found the squeak toy.
yeah, probably more. So
All of y'all were doubting me, and
I'm
she
gonna hit
didn't
up
even
the
deny it.
Stormcrow soon. After this, maybe we can talk.
I gave up trying to defend the smoke detector. It ain't mine.
Yeah,
Nah,
well,
no. We all know it's yours because you didn't even deny it.
Dude, I've stopped denying things with you a long time ago.
I don't give a fuck. You
It's
still
just
admitted
easier
it.
to accept a fake reality than try to defend one.
What's the quote? Read up. You know the quote.
that's how they win. You can't let them
What?
win.
What quote?
What's the quote? The
What quote?
I reject your reality. I substitute it with my own.
Oh yeah, I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Yeah, there
It's
you
from
go.
MythBusters.
That's where I'm at too. I think we're all doing that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, whatever.
Adam
That is
Savage.
how. That's how I survive watching any of the older movies, any classic movies. There's only 3 Indiana Jones films. There's only
Mhm.
one original Star Wars trilogy, and occasionally I will acknowledge the prequels. They're not that
Matrix
good.
Resurrections doesn't exist.
It does not. It does not.
It doesn't exist. That's not a movie. Hopefully the
No,
game
shouldn't
doesn't
it?
exist.
Picard only had one season, 3.
I like the Animatrix. The Animatrix.
Yeah, it was
good.
really weird why they called it Picard Season 3. Confusing.
Was Picard even in it?
Technically, no. Picard is dead and was a cyborg.
Maji,
He's full Ghost in the Shell.
they ignored that fact throughout the entire season. They had like address it once and just kind of just went, ah.
I
just
know,
gonna
but
act
Only because they're stuck
until
with
they
it, so.
retcon that, I don't care.
They're never Star Trek's still dead, Maji. It's just when people got one season they like. That was it.
Yeah. Yesterday, I was over at Sana's house, and Star Trek Enterprise was on the TV. I'm like, I miss this. This is real Star Trek. It's been so long since I've seen real Star Trek because everything's been that newer crap. I'm like,
Yep.
and people used
Yes.
to dunk on
I
Enterprise.
don't know how to answer that one. Technically, to me, that's too many, but I know plenty bookworms that say that's not enough. They want to be able to read their entire lifetime during the zombie apocalypse and never have to leave their house.
You really like this hentai.
Yeah,
Is it-
it's
what
saying
is
stuff
that, some
like that
kind of
that makes
noodle?
me question if I want to like hang out with you, Stormcrow. It's saying stuff like that, dude. I'm a little curious what your poetry is going to be. I don't know if I should teach you poetry.
I think his first poem will be an epic poem. It'll start off, "There once was a man from Nantucket." See, how many books is too many? 5 more just showed up to my house, and now I think I have over 250.
Yeah, I think
More.
that's what most of my
Never.
packed boxes are.
More.
Is books.
More.
More.
Yeah, until you gotta move.
Right?
Yeah. I had 3 show up a couple days ago. Small World showed up, and then today from Bonsart Association of Ishtar, I got Wrench in the Machine and Bound for the Sticks. The paperback showed up in the mail today.
Yep, those looked good, and then they went back in the box. Same with the mythicals. I think it was the other one. I think I got.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Got it right there.
Yeah, it came in Friday.
If your main shelf is holding 250 books, that's kind of an impressive shelf, isn't it?
You
Well,
need
they're
extras.
probably spread across multiple shelves.
I'm not even gonna get a shelf. I'm just gonna let the books pile up everywhere.
You see,
Look
Burnett, you
like the
see,
library at the beginning of Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I bought a second shelf for this whole reason to give me more space, and that lasted all 5 seconds.
How many of them were based on wars we've never heard of?
You'd be surprised. Well,
You know what? Your audio just cut out. Yeah, we can't
Hello.
hear you.
You probably
There you are.
can't really see it. That's that little moving dot of white in the background. There's a skunk.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Hey, run
There
up
you
and
are.
scare it.
no.
Oh,
bet
these
you
guys
were
make the funniest faces.
I bet you $5. Run up and scare it. Give it a jump scare.
I don't need $5.
Call it a snipe hunt.
Why not? $5 give you long time. Give you love for long time.
And what next? Name it Flower?
Rita, you have son back again?
I think I'm back.
Okay. Anyway, what were you saying about the books of wars we never heard of?
Well, anyways, I have 2 shelves. Well, no, I have more than 2 shelves. What was I going to say? Oh, I have my book collection and I have my movie collection. There lies the real problem. If it was just one or the other, I would have plenty of room. For a few months. I would have plenty of room.
See, what I did was I gave up on my movie collection and put them in binders so that I had more room for my books.
I
just
can't
threw a
do
peanut
that.
to him. He didn't budge.
I like my covers.
My kitty says she'd climb on your shelves.
Yeah.
Well, I had to put my DS9 shit in the fucking case cover because the shitty ass box was starting to scratch them.
He says, "I have other shelves. The problem is there's stuff on them."
It's okay. You're
I have
about to
at
live in a
least 100
society
other
where you
books I
own
want to
nothing
get,
and you
and the
like it.
list constantly growing.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm in the middle of reading, or kind of. It's on pause while I'm finishing up my book, but I got to pick back up Twin Sons of Corolla, then Ship of Fools, and then I'm going to read one of Bonsart's books, and then I want to get to Myriasphere Origins. I've heard so much about that world, and I want to check them all out. And there's just so much reading.
Yeah, besides books, I have a lot of boxed sets as well.
You know what's cool? Right now, mainstream media is getting their ass kicked by independent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Indiana Jones is getting kicked by 2 independent studios.
Yep.
Freaking Ripper's killing it again on the top 100 sells right now.
Awesome.
I mean, all across the board, even music, the independent YouTubers are making more than the music industry is right now.
Nice.
Yeah. Tim Pool. He does a talk show, but when he makes music, he puts it out there and it hits the top 10 on the iTunes. So
Face it,
you know,
nobody
indies
trusts
are making
the mainstream news anymore because they've lied to us so many times and have been busted.
Yeah, except for my brother-in-law. When my mom was in town, we had to borrow his car, turn it on, and what's on there? CNN News. I'm like, oh, great.
This is CNN. No. And James Earl Jones could do both those lines.
It's just yeah. No, we're seeing it. It's happening.
I almost went to highlight Storm Crow's thing before reading it again. When will
Don't.
I
But
learn?
you didn't.
I
have
caught it
learned.
last second.
You are learning.
Okay. Bruner, I think I can post his and be just as surprised as everyone else. But Stormcrow, I gotta remember proofread. I like owning all the books because I want an example of how to write a particular scene. I have those types of scenes marked with different color tags.
Oh,
Cool.
nice. You do research.
Yeah.
You know how much freaking research I had to do so I could get the fight scenes right? Oh my gosh. My brain was melting from the corny kung fu.
My whole life is research.
I hate
That's what I've been doing
research.
since I got
It gets
home until the
everywhere.
time I turned this camera on, doing research for videos.
Yeah, but your job is also research, isn't it? Okay, it's regurgitating facts.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
your hobby is research.
I mean, I do research for my work. It's just I haven't for a while picked up a book about work.
Taking a class on some of those things actually lets you learn some things about them and what's a bit more realistic than what's not. So I've had some martial arts class, I've had a fencing class, and I've shot lots of guns before.
Shotgun, boom.
Are we allowed to say that on YouTube? I don't know. They keep changing their damn rules.
What?
Whatever the rules are, it doesn't matter. You could try and follow them all, but 2 months later, you've retroactively broken them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That works, Stormcrow. But yeah,
Bloodsport was a good
that's
movie.
probably a good idea, though. I mean, Maji was doing it with a whole bunch of kung fu shows, and when she was writing her fight scenes.
I actually had to watch instruction videos on how to fight with short staffs. Like play-by-play basic moves.
Yeah, you know what? As time goes on, I am going to have to look into more details for that because that's one of the items Haley becomes proficient in is his quarterstaff. So I better
I can't
pretty
pronounce
soon learn
it,
to know what I'm
but-
talking about.
I can't pronounce it, but one of the main characters uses Korean short staffs, which is literally like 8 inches long. That was cool to watch the different
Was
instruction
that called
videos.
our niece or something like that?
No, it's something bow. Choi. I don't know. I have the video saved. But I thought that was an appropriate fight style for that character. So each character has a different fighting style and different way of doing things. So I had to go and look up a lot of the basics because you can't really write it if you don't know the basics.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to actually go up, find legitimate instructors on YouTube or in books and stuff, like Book of the Five Rings for sword, for two-handed sword technique, and then I went to this black belt with the red stripe qualified. Is that second degree? I don't know. Gina's gonna mock me for not knowing the different degrees here, but for one, and then Gino's helped me with some of just unarmed techniques because he's had some training. So I have been going to for each different person having their own unique style, but I had to do research so it's matched the person, and in that way it didn't sound like a jumbled mess when you're trying to write it.
The character that I'm writing about, one of his early magical weapons that he comes across is a flame tongue, which is a fire sword basically. And so Shad's recent video about flame swords was really awesome. That was just amazing.
That's cool. So,
So,
like,
Bernard, are you talking about one of these?
Oh yes. There's typically a chain between two of them. Oh well, I guess there's two different styles. There's one where you've got weights on the end, but then you can. I've also seen them where they're wielding two kusarigamas, or the whatever the scythe thing is, on either end, versus having a weight on one. There's definitely a different fighting style between whether you've got a weight versus double scythes.
Yeah, I was reading a Salvador novel. It was kind of a spin-off. It was about Entreri and Jarlaxle, but they ended up working with a dwarf who it wasn't an item like this. It was more like Morningstar. It was big spiked balls on the end of chains, but this dwarf would use two of them at the same time, swing them both around, and everyone's like, "Wow, that is the weirdest sight, seeing a dwarf wield those two, double wielding those morning stars like that." But I thought it was a cool concept because that's something you definitely don't see every day.
Yeah, I've thought about those, but then Shad's thing about what are
Nunchucks.
they? Yeah, nunchucks. Um, I'm not sure how. Well, I guess depending upon how long your chain is, that would be one thing. Because if you could get enough, like if you could spin it fast enough and then launch it, that could definitely hurt.
Yeah,
Like,
that his commentary on nunchucks did actually end up influencing some of current book. Someone practices with nunchucks twice a week, but considers them impractical, so never carries them in the field. The reason she practices with them is for proprioceptive exercise.
yeah.
Bernard says the weapon in my story has a dagger with a chain attached to the pommel and a weight on the other side of the chain. Well, wasn't
Nice.
I thought I played a video game where you had a weapon like that once, and I was like, "This is really cool. Too bad you can't do that in real life." I was like, "I guess you can," but that must have an incredibly high skill ceiling. Like, you
So
practice, practice. If you screw up, you're gonna hurt yourself.
I cannot pronounce this to save my life, but this is what my Minotaur uses. I put it in chat. I don't want to butcher it. I feel bad,
Yep.
but it's basically the Inca club or the Mayan club with the obsidian shards in it.
Oh
Yeah, I-
those things.
yeah.
Sorry. I'm gonna look
I
one of
used
those
that
up.
for a
Let
character
me
for a
see,
story a while
IronAge.
back.
I'm
The
definitely familiar with those.
Damaquinte? I have no idea how to pronounce that.
Yeah, no, I know.
We'll just call it a machete.
It looks cool. The spelling looks cool, and the weapon looks cool too. And I don't want to get hit with it.
Whittle?
I put it in. The YouTube chat, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't copy and paste from that though.
Makua Huitl?
HUIT.
Maybe? I don't know.
But those things are vicious because not only is it a club, but the obsidian shards would break apart in your body
Yeah.
and you die from infection. So if you didn't die being cut all to hell and being bludgeoned to death, you die from the infection. Because they would pour poison and other things in it. Sometimes they would intentionally pee on it just to make sure it would become infected.
Ugh.
Talk about adding insult to injury.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have the Minotaurs using that.
Cool.
They
That's
don't
really
poison
cool.
it though.
Those
Just-
seem to be very rounded edges.
Yeah, that's very rounded. They're normally sharp, but yeah.
They might still be like filed down to razor sharp.
Or that's just for ceremony and looks.
And then Brunner is talking about the Castlevania has a chain whip.
Yep, that is called the Morning Star Whip. And that thing is that is so satisfying to use when you get the full upgraded whip and you go around just smacking down the zombies. I miss good old fashioned games.
But see, you can solve all these handheld weapons with a shotgun.
True.
Yeah,
Just
but
ask a
when you're
certain
reading
samurai.
fantasy, guns just aren't that cool.
Oh, did you guys see the
They're the great
PDF?
equalizer.
What was it? Shotgun Samurai had a like a little short Tales from the what was it? Tales from the oh gosh, I don't remember what it was. Tales from the Noodle Place or something like that. Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, that's not ringing a bell for me.
Is it like Shotgun Samurai's
Oh, Spilly.
take on spaghetti horror?
Oh,
Billy fears the shotgun.
Tales
Samurai.
from a Ramen Shop, and it's about one of the characters. It sounds like he's trying to hunt down a Shotgun Samurai and get some revenge, but instead he comes across all these other weird characters pretending to be Shotgun Samurai. And he knows that they're not Shotgun Samurai because Shotgun Samurai blew his eye out.
I don't know where Billy went. Just lost connection. Found this crazy story. If you want to share that one.
Ooh.
Oh, we'll take
You
crazy
got-
stories.
Well, we went from woke Hollywood movies to furries to
Go back to woke again. I mean, the main topic. We could always make fun of the woke. Apparently, this woke mayor got arrested.
District attorney is now asking a
It's not
judge
up on the big screen.
a mental health evaluation for a local mayor.
not shared.
That's after the city of
Not up on
South
the big
Fulton
screen.
mayor
Anyway.
Khalid Kamu was arrested on burglary and criminal trespass charges over the weekend. Channel 2's Tom Jones live in the city of South Fulton with how people there are thinking about all of this tonight. Tom.
And Linda, some people here think if the courts are suggesting that the mayor needs a mental health evaluation, then that's a clear sign he needs to resign. They say they are hearing from people all across the country about the mayor's arrest.
You've got to step down because the buck has to stop here. We've had enough.
These city of South Fulton neighbors say they are fed up after Mayor Khalid Kamu's weekend
look at that
arrest
smile
on
there.
burglary and
What was that?
Look at that smile.
What was he arrested for again? I missed the.
Burglary.
Keep playing. Keep playing it. I think he was going to say it.
criminal trespass charges. They
Yeah.
say it's time for him to resign.
Like, you're bringing our city down. And this right here is really just the last straw.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about a story
I follow
that
this guy's pretty funny. I always follow him for conservative
yeah.
black news and all
I
the
follow him
hypocrisy.
too. I'm surprised
from
I
the
missed
left.
this story. Oh, 1 hour ago. Wow. Okay, that's probably why
Yeah,
I missed
that's
it.
kind of fresh. If you pan through, you might find more news clips on like the thing. He always investigates it and finds other news.
Felony burglary.
Yeah,
So why does he get that big old smile when he's
because he's not mentally like stable. He's mentally ill. He's
how did he get
probably
elected?
narcissistic
I mean,
sociopath.
we would never elect somebody like mentally
Fetterman.
ill. That's why we have the greatest president we've ever seen.
You couldn't say that with a straight face. You couldn't even.
Oh.
You couldn't even finish that with. You can't say that sentence without laughing.
He's the bestest ever.
Better than just Biden was the Biden and Fetterman get together. That was just awesome.
I love what Luke Radowski keeps saying about that. Biden Fetterman 2024. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
All right, so I posted a news link for you. I swear, this disclaimer, this is just funny. I am not doing this for any political views or anything. But you got to watch it.
Alrighty. And,
Oh, I remember this.
I gotta.
I make no disrespect to anybody, but I like for some reason
Oh,
this
yeah.
is funny as hell.
This is the Ryan Webb story.
We'll get back over to the chat in just a moment. Where? Is this it? Indian councilman comes out as woman of color.
Yep.
County
Yes.
Council
Yeah, you got to play this.
as transgender and a woman of color.
Share it.
Howard County Councilman Ryan Webb
Hold on, what
said he
county?
now identifies as an
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Indian
whoa.
American
What-
woman.
what
Yeah,
county?
no. You got to put it up on the
Oh,
screen. so
Delaware.
people can
Ryan
see
Webb
it.
announced that he now identifies as an Indian American woman.
Share it.
Since that announcement, he's received some support, but a lot of backlash, many calling him childish, despicable, even calling for things like
It's
execution.
not on the
In
screen.
a statement
You're right.
Webb gave to ITMate, he says, quote, "It is unfortunate that I cannot simply be given the same space and respect to explore my identity that so many of those targeting me demand for themselves. It's possible I may change my mind down the road. The process of identity exploration is complex, and oftentimes at the end of our personal journey, we end right back where we started." Webb goes on to tell ITMate,
Oh,
"This
what a great troll!
Yep.
Was that playing?
Nope,
No.
that wasn't on screen.
Nope, just
The
audio.
audio did.
Probably like 3 times.
I sat here and just watched the whole thing quietly, laughing, thinking everybody was seeing it.
Actually, in that right, it was even more entertaining.
Hang on. Let me get this.
Hey,
It
RC,
says
how are
it's
you?
sharing. Were you at least able to hear it?
Yeah.
We heard
Yeah.
it, but we didn't see
Oh,
anything.
okay.
Hey, RC Scott.
Did we lose Jose? Or is he still here?
I don't know. I haven't
Oh,
seen him
he's
comment.
in the bushes somewhere.
Oh, yeah, he's still here. We didn't
Yeah.
lose him.
So if I could change the subject for a moment, this morning I
Sure.
woke up to some interesting news. Wasn't expecting to see the trailer for Napoleon, the Ridley Scott directed Napoleon, starring Joaquin Phoenix. It just dropped this morning, the trailer. It is set for a Thanksgiving release. And I think this may be only the second. Okay, I know Barbie's apparently a big hyped film, but in my eyes, it is the only second major blockbuster coming out this summer. Well, technically fall.
After
And you know,
Oppenheimer, right?
yeah, you know what I noticed is interesting? The two big films that actually have potential of being good are both historical biopics. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
From
But
what I've
let's
seen with
not forget
Barbie, I have seen too many
Sound of
red
Freedom.
flags.
I
I
am very
have zero interest
skeptical
in
of
Barbie.
Napoleon. Oh, Barbie, I've heard about Napoleon because I have my issues with Napoleon, but
He's got a short man complex, that's all.
Well,
he's not short. He's just slightly less than average than the average man. There's a oversimplified. They had a running joke on that, and it's the truth, but it's hilarious.
it'll be like if hundreds of years later, Royce is a historical figure who's known for his wig.
Well, I don't get the Barbie movie hype. I really don't get it because, like, it's like all of Hollywood's like, "Oh, this is so funny," and I'm like,
No, okay, I have seen, because I've gone and seen the terrible movies, I have seen the extended trailers that come with watching the terrible movies. There's red flags everywhere. This whole thing is a feminist propaganda where feminine lies in society.
Well, I think one of them said during their press tours for advertising the movie or marketing the movie, they actually said, "Oh yeah, we're breaking gender roles."
Yeah,
Or something like
Ken
something
is
to
going
that
to be the ditzy blonde, and Barbie is going to learn what real life is.
because
Oh,
that's just what we
joy.
all wanted to
Will
see.
Ferrell in it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
Will
so.
Ferrell's the bad guy. He's the owner of Mattel. But
So it's going to be a full meta movie.
Wait, is he going to be doing like the Lego movie thing all over again? Is it going to be what was his was a president? What was his whole shtick in the Lego movie? This is sounding a lot like his shtick in the Lego movie, though.
I like his shtick in the Lego movie.
Well, I
It's
do
unique.
too, but I'm just like, wait a minute, that we're getting meta again, and
I don't know. But like I said, I've seen enough. Like one of the extended trailers has Barbie going to a shaman, which is basically looks like another Barbie that a kid's like cut the hair and doodled all over and stuff. You know that scene from the end of Toy Story 3? She's an artist. That's what that Barbie looked like to me. Was
Oh, brother.
when he gets stuck in the backpack. But anyway, one of the scenes has her holding up a pair of high heel Barbie shoes, and the other is these like weird scuffy moccasins, and Barbie's like, "Oh, I want those," and she's like, "No, you want the moccasins? No, I really want the nice high heels." She's like, "Just aren't you a little curious?" Yeah, there's a lot of warning signs.
I'm just also just intimidated. I'm just scared off by the fact that like nobody talked about the movie until the big pundits began talking about the big pundits all start the Barbie movie. I'm like, when did people start getting hyped for the Barbie movie?
Well, you notice how they haven't had any leaks of the script or anything? That's because they know if it does, a lot of people probably won't go see it.
I think
I know
Legally
two
Blonde
people
was a better
go see
Barbie
it.
movie.
I don't
I'm
know
not
why,
saying
but
it.
I
Look,
just not even slightly curious.
I can
Nothing.
watch Barbie or Oppenheimer. Which one you think I'm gonna watch?
Read out, I'll be right there with you,
Oppenheimer.
man. We'll be rooting for the bomb. I mean,
Which to me, Oppenheimer is the one movie that it's the only movie this whole summer I think has a legit chance of being remembered beyond this year.
I think Sound of Freedom might.
Freedom just blew
That
everything out of the
yeah.
water.
Well, I mean in terms of promotional before we got it released. Like when I looked at the spring and I'm like, oh, what's coming out? And I'm like,
Technically, Sound of Freedom's in third place, but if you look at the number of theaters versus everyone else,
Yeah, it's blown things
pound
out
for
of the water.
pound, it's doing a lot better.
I'm excited to say that I just found out while we were talking earlier, Sound of Freedom is playing at my local theater, not a big AMC, my little one room
nice.
theater. So I think I know what I'll be doing this Sunday.
nice. I wish mine would play it. But, I mean, I've heard reports like, oh, who was it? It was I think it was Yellow Flash was reporting that some of the theaters have been boycotting that to the point they turned off the AC in one of the movie theaters.
Seriously?
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
there's a
think it
video of
was
a
Yellow
woman.
Flash.
There's a video of a woman and her friend leaving the video theater, and at first she bought the tickets online. She got to the theater and they were like refunded to her.
Yep.
Like, okay, so they bought the tickets again and went in there, and then he said that the theaters that specific theater AC wasn't working. Like AC was working everywhere except that one theater.
Yep. AC was
And, like,
working
they were
in
the
the
only ones in
hall.
there.
AC was working in the bathroom. AC was working in the front. AC was working in the theater next to it, but it just was not working for some reason in the theater playing that movie.
And it wasn't just that one theater. Like it's who
I don't know
I
about
think
that.
it had to been Yellow Flash. It was one of the bigger names that reported it.
This is just such a weird pushback, though. I mean, everybody who's seen the movie is singing its praises, saying how great it is.
Well,
And
here's the thing.
it's
I'm not
all
even
about rescuing children.
Yeah,
Why are people pushing against it so hard? And
because it's a QAnon, because they're listening to the news. It's being promoted as a QAnon conspiracy theory. I guess I don't know if there's anything in the movie about children's blood
But I
being
mean, why
drinking
are
or
they
anything
doing
like that.
is what
But
you gotta ask.
I think that's what they're promoting it. If you look at the news, they're saying like it's like, oh, they all think that these kids are being abducted and their blood is being drank and stuff like that. They do this over the top like conspiracy theorist explanation to the people to make it seem like the QAnon people are nut job. The thing is, I'm not even going to watch it for all that. It's a crime mystery thriller. I just watched Dial M for Murder last night. It's a Hitchcock, classic. Not my favorite, and I didn't really like the way it like kind of ends. But I like crime thrillers. I like noir detectives. So if this is a crime mystery movie, that's mainly gonna snag me in. What crime mysteries are really like going on? Like a big one right now. Like I know the subject
think
matter is pretty big, but
they
Faceless?
just like part of the problem
Theaters.
is the power lead cannot live with the fact that this is a film that they try to cast away. Because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it supposed to be like a Fox production or something like that initially?
Yeah. I
And then
believe
Disney
Fox-
got bought off and chucked it.
Yeah, Fox I think initially had it, and so Disney decided to sweep it under. But it is from Angel Studios, and I remember seeing something about it. I don't know if shares were offered or not. If there were, I just don't think I had money at the time and I wish I would have been able to buy some shares for this because this would have been great. I do have shares in two other movies that are coming up. Probably, I think one of them is supposed to be next year, and I think another one's a couple years off still.
I know that it was crowdfunded. In order to get it from Disney, they had to do a crowdfunding and raised over $5 million so they could buy it from Disney.
You know what's the really weird thing about
Yeah.
that though? Disney had this; they had it ready to go, and they'd rather sell it than release it when it can make that much money.
It's not the only thing they did with it. I mean, well, I don't have any interest in it. That Nimona film that Netflix just released, it was a similar thing. It was 2/3 finished by Blue Sky. Of course, Blue Sky got bought out by Fox, and of course, Fox got bought out by Disney. And Disney, basically, when it was almost done, just said, nope, we're not releasing it.
Lord Otter, what's going on, man?
Nothing much on my end. I've been making a lot of finishing touches, I could say, with my novel. I'm hoping to get that out by the end of the month. That's kind of been
Awesome.
my priority lately.
I
Things have
understand
been,
that.
there's
Yeah,
been
I
a
now
lot of
have
progress, a lot of things going on. I just finished getting art and sketches and a few assets done between myself and Neutron Bore. And that's kind of where my priorities are at the moment.
Awesome.
But other than that, it's been a lot of fun lately. That's how I would
Cool.
describe it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same area. Not as advanced as you are at the moment. You're hoping to have it out by the end of the month. I'm hoping to have mine out. Right now, I'm shooting at October, but I now got a manuscript completely on the paper. Now I can just sit there and tweak and work with it over the next few weeks.
Let's see. With me, I'm hoping to have the manuscript like fully polished after all the feedback from beta readers. The actual story itself, I'm hoping to have out by late August, early September. That's the goal
Oh,
at the
gotcha.
moment.
I thought you meant you were publishing by the end of the month.
Unfortunately, not. It's been sort of a juggling act at the moment. Trying to get it to where I'm personally content with it, which it seems like it's nearly there.
Cool.
It's just a little farther, I guess.
Yeah, I am not even anywhere near ready for close to beta readers. I only have the first rough draft, and that's it. I got a lot of tweaking to do on that, but I'm hoping the next 3-4 weeks. I'm hoping by the end of the month it'll be ready for some beta readers.
Oh, jeez. I'm listening to you guys, and I'm like, it took me 9 hours just to get half a paragraph the other day because I couldn't figure out which way I wanted to go.
Well, remember, Maji, I've been working on this for 2 years.
Yeah, I was about to say myself, I've been working on this for 2 years.
Yeah, because even though, you look at the publication of my first book,
Mhm.
I sat on that book for almost a year before it went to publish.
Gotcha.
And I had already started work on Bad Kitty 2 while it was sitting there in limbo.
Yeah,
So it's not I'm not banging them out like Black Knight. I don't have the somebody posted an awesome GIF in the Gilded, said Black Knight be like, and it was from an anime where this mechanical hand split into like multiple, the finger split into multiple
oh yeah, Ghost in the
digits
Shell.
and just started
Ghost in the Shell.
typing all over the keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Ghost in the Shell.
Love that scene. I was like, yeah, that's how I do data entry.
It's not too far off from how I type, to be quite honest.
It's the letter sorter from Men in Black 2.
The problem is with myself, I'm a bit more of a perfectionist, and that does cause me to go back sometimes. First of all, I always hear that with a lot of writers, their first book is the hardest because they're still figuring out a lot of what works and what doesn't, and then after that, it's where you have more of a rhythm going on. You know what needs to be done, you know what to avoid, what to lean into. But the first time around is the hardest.
Well, yeah, you're finding your style.
The first time around was definitely rougher, but the second one I was finding just as difficult, just in different ways.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I can very much see that.
Yeah,
Well, I mean the way it moves is different. Like the first book all takes place within one day. The second book is kind of spread out throughout a year. So it it changed the dynamic quite a bit in a way I wasn't prepared for. That's why I got to go and kind of restructure the first third, because the pacing I am not at all happy with. It could be much, much better.
I can see that. Pacing is an obvious one. I could also see how information is doled out. That's another concern.
Yeah, because there's a lot of info that needs to be doled out, and I just don't want to do info dump after info dump and just be boring. It needs to come across in interesting ways.
I understand that.
Also, it's weird. I have the advantage with the second book of an established world to build off of, but in the first book, it was an advantage where you were learning, with every page, every paragraph, you're learning a little something new about how the systems worked. In the second book, that's already known, so it changes up the pacing, and I gotta figure out the new balancing routine for that.
I think I approach storytelling a little differently. To me, it's about where the reader, or since I got that screenplay, it's what I want you to feel at that certain point, So I have to, my characters, the dialogue, everything after is the conduit to how I want you to feel. And then I'm going to bring you on this emotional roller coaster to, tell the story. All about the feeling.
A.S. Burner says, I'm writing 2 books at once. One is overly plotted out. The other is pretty sporadic. I'm seeing which works for me.
Yeah, I got some inspiration today, and I wrote a bunch of stuff, and then I realized, oh, this is probably going to be part of book 2. But I think it was a pretty good scene.
Stormcrow said, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were done." Stormcrow said, "I got the ending of all 3 acts of the first book written to a T, but dialogue, character dynamics, and prose is the thing that kills me. I want to give you all quality. You deserve that." Yeah, it'll take some time to get used to it, and that's, if this is your first project, the beta reading will probably be a big help for you in that.
Beta
and
reading
also,
will help a lot.
Yeah.
As well as reading it aloud to yourself in a slow and narratively driven manner. That helps me leaps and bounds.
Yeah. Read it. When you're going back to edit it, and you got to read it out loud. You can't read it back in your mind. You have to read it out loud.
Yeah. And you have to do it in as close as possible to Fran Drescher's voice.
Oof.
Yeah, but another thing, I know a lot of people have said it, but read other books. And like when you read something, different settings, notice the different way people talk, what sounds right within that world. We see a lot of that in modern TV shows where they have a medieval setting, yet they're talking like modern day teenagers, and it's like nails on a chalkboard. So you can get away with having one character who talks a little more modern than the rest if that's their shtick. But if you even with that one, if you overdo it, it's just going to make it, it's got to be tread carefully with that kind of stuff. But yeah, check out the prose in different books and different settings. Try and think of whatever the setting you're working with. Read some books that are similar and see how they speak. And yeah, that's the best I could think of off the top of my head. What do you guys think? What else can he do to?
Well, my writing style is essentially me vomiting on a page and then me bludgeoning the holy hell out of it until something decent ends on the page.
That's become my writing style. You're not alone.
Yeah, I keep trying to tell myself first draft, I'm just getting the idea on paper, and then I can go back and work with that after. But I can't help it. I'm sitting there going, how do I want to word this? And that's when I end up spending over an hour on one sentence sometimes. And other things just seem to flow so well, but it really does. You've got to. It takes a while to develop the feel for what's what, if that makes any sense.
I'm working on a short story right now, and it was inspired by, it's like most the other short story I wrote, inspired by real world events. So I know how it ends vividly. I know how it ends, and I had a pretty good introduction. I still feels pretty good. I have no idea what to do in the middle. I'm just kind of like,
I'm not
intermission?
familiar
I
with
don't know.
I'm not familiar with the Lloyd
Usually-
Alexander style of writing.
Usually
But,
conflict will work in the middle. Usually you want to put conflict somewhere.
On the topic of period and dialogue, especially if you're going for a certain period in history, I can like at least sticking at least somewhat to that era is really important. Now, granted, I think a lot of that can be bent a little bit whenever you do your own unique setting. I do that a little bit with what I'm going to be putting out. It's not Joss Whedon dialogue by any stretch. But I remember in earlier drafts, I had the dialogue written out as full on King's English, and it just did not sound right to me, like not one bit. And I had to kind of pull myself back and say, I know the emotion of what I want with this, but it's not clicking. So how do I reword this to where it's getting that across along with the tone I'm going for? I want it to have a bit more of a punch.
Yeah, I have a scene where the dialogue between a couple of the characters. I'm like, this would be. I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is very wooden. It's almost like they just blankly made some statements when this should be an emotionally charged scene. It's like, I need to fix that. Yeah, trying to hold the right tone. It's like the lines I had down match the characters, but not the circumstance. If you know what I mean. It's like people react different ways in different situations, and I had them way too stoic.
I've also heard this is the case with a lot of writers. I'm definitely guilty of this myself. I've also heard John A. Douglas talk about it a little bit with his book. Is whenever you do the first draft or so, a lot of your characters will sound the same, or at least similar to one another. And finding that sense of character voice is something you kind of have to learn as you go along. I don't really know of another way to do it other than just writing itself. That's kind of a skill you have to pick up.
You have to hear the
you
character's
gotta
voice in
develop
your
it.
head. You have to make different voices for them.
Yeah.
So when you're writing it, you write it in their voice.
Now, where I have a lot of trouble separating character voice was with two of my main characters. Haley and Elizabeth, they're the same age, they're best friends, so they're together all the time. So they're going to sound a lot alike, but not exactly. So I have to sit there and think, okay, it has to sound like this could fit either of them, but then it's got to have that certain something that, okay, that's what one would say, not the other. And when things are that close, that's when it gets interesting trying to have some distinction, and usually an expression thrown in that one is prone to use and the other is not is a way to help. But yeah, it can get tough when you have two characters that are best friends and together all the time. Their vernaculars are going to become very similar.
My two main characters are brothers who are separated across from each other only by a couple of years, and they're pretty much together all the time. And like you said, giving each one of them a distinct voice has been kind of one of the hardest parts about this project of mine, because it's very easy to cross those wires sometimes. One will sound like the other, or both kind of have the same voice at the same time. So it's important to know what each of them want and how they're different at the same time. I've almost kind of made them like two different parts of the same coin. They almost have like polar opposite aspects, so they bounce back and forth a lot more.
Cool. If you guys can excuse me for about 2 minutes, I got to go deal with an animal.
Cat?
A cat, yes.
Yeah. Cats.
One of those things.
That's what I'm thinking about getting next. You guys know I put down my dog like a couple of months ago. Rest in peace, Pilgrim.
Yep, sorry.
It's kind of like empty here. Yeah, I definitely like to have like a pet in the house, but getting a puppy or getting a dog again and trying to housebreak it, and with my job and current hours, definitely Well, yeah, during the current hours, I'd be sleeping while most of the time while I'm at work, maybe. But no, a cat would be more independent.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about doing a cat next, but I think I'd have to get parakeets. I think parakeets are better than single.
You just don't want to become a cat lady and have
You're a
like
cat
10
man
or
like
20 or
yours
something.
truly. Actually, I'm watching a cat right now. I'm very, very worried. I have no idea what she's doing. Okay, you're going over there. Okay.
I wasn't planning on getting gender reassignment, surgery, so I'll just be a crazy cat man.
Well, I was just joking about the number of cats. You know, it's something where you pick up one, then you pick up a second, and then you pick up a third, and then pretty soon you have like 10, and you're like, how did I end up with 10 cats?
Yeah.
He wasn't joking about the whole gender thing.
Yeah, two max. That's what I kind of grew up with, actually. When I was a kid, I had two cats. We always had just like two cats. Didn't get a dog till we were older.
Yeah, we just had one cat in our household, but there was a couple other neighborhood cats, and one of them used to always come down after parents driving us home from school or whatever, and he'd go running down the street to meet up with us as soon as we pulled in the driveway. But he was a hunter. He'd roll around in the dirt and everything. Bright white cat, just so you can understand. Whitest cat you've ever seen, and he was a hunter. He'd have to roll around in the dirt and stuff to kind of hide his pelt.
Wow.
Actually, no. Hayes isn't around here to hold the microphone too. So, yeah, I was dealing with a cat outside. He comes around every few days. A gray cat. He still has a limp. Has for the last 2 weeks. His hind leg. But he's chowed down pretty healthy. So, got the appetite.
That's good. That's good. Hopefully that will help with healing.
I see Ultimate Kahuna has joined us. Good to see you, man. How you doing tonight? Hey, you trippy transforming teleport transitions.
Alliteration.
A lot of T's across them all.
Cats can be just as shitty. Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
They're cats. They're good at that. What about a cat man who identifies as a cat lady? It's a catastrophe. I don't know.
I think that's a question Trippy Soul could answer.
No, I can't. That's just one of the mysteries of life.
I'm also just fucking with you.
It's up to the cosmos.
Join the coppin in the hedge.
So what did I miss while I was gone?
Nothing. Just talk about cats.
Cats. Not the horrible movie. No. Actual cute cats.
And just be careful of how many you collect. You don't want to get 10 plus and end up being like the cat lady.
Yeah. No, I have one cat inside and the gray cat outside that comes by every few days, and when I see him I feed him and chat with him. But yeah, he's staying outside. I'm not bringing him in because I've seen him spray. I don't want that in the house.
Yeah.
He's cool, but not that cool. Kahuna says, I'm doing good trying to figure out this whole parenting thing 6 years into it. I still feel like a fool. Yeah, you always will on that one because whatever you think you got it figured out and you realize, nope, you don't. I don't care how many books you read. To being a parent is like you don't exactly learn it. You learn as you go. That's all you can do.
The disturbing science behind cat people.
Oh, I think I know what he's talking about. It was something plasm or something. It's like you get some kind of infection from cleaning the cat box, but it makes you like cats a lot more and always drawn to cats or something like that. What was that called?
Yeah, something like that. I heard something like that. You should share that clip. There's a short clip that I sent a link in the chat. This looks kind of funny.
Oh, I'm so glad I proofread Stormcrow's latest post before I posted it. And the chat jumped on me. Hang on. It was hilarious, but I'm not putting it on the screen. All right, but and then he makes an awesome point. You see Hollywood parents? Do the opposite of them and you'll be fine.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, there's a type of parasite that makes people enjoy the smell of cat urine. About 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 people in the world have it.
Yuck.
And guilty toxin.
Oh, we know Raven doesn't have it.
Me.
Yeah. Well, I can still tell you I cannot stand the smell of cat pee, so I don't think I have it.
Yeah, I grew up with cats, and I got to clean the litter box.
I like
and
cats,
stuff.
but not that much.
Yeah, not that much.
I like cats minus the pee.
Yeah.
I like the fact that I don't have to deal with mice too often.
Yeah, that is.
Nah, my cat's too lazy to deal with that.
Although I still am ahead in that game, I'm waiting for Hayes to even the score. We're 3-2 right now. Kahuna says, I like cats, and the ones I've raised like me, the most cats just like me, my sad face. Didn't cat urine used to be used in perfume?
Probably.
Bucklore, maybe. I don't know. That's not a perfume I would want to smell.
What's the deal with the short?
The what?
Oh, in the chat here, in the private chat and stream, I sent a link to a short. We should check it out.
All right. I am pulling that up now.
See if it shares this time.
Meeting a right-wing extremist. There we go. I remembered to actually put it on screen this time. Woohoo.
Good job.
Extremists are into that gender binary, which is very oppressive.
So I'm just gonna really fast. I'm not a right-wing extremist. I'm actually
you have an American flag on your shirt.
I'm a United States Air Force veteran. My parents are legal immigrants from the Middle East. I don't give into the right wing. I'm not right wing just because I don't give into that. Like for instance, what first of all,
do you believe there are two genders?
Yes, I believe there's.
Then you're a right-wing extremist.
That's not the right wing. There's
no
women, and some people have gender
Are
dysphoria.
you currently? Did you wear a mask during the pandemic?
I definitely did not wear a
Well,
mask.
then you are a right-wing extremist.
Oh, God.
I'm getting very uncomfortable here. I'm already, risking my life.
Then please leave.
You're not
Please, if
wearing
you're
a
that
mask.
uncomfortable.
You right-wing extremists are into that gender binary, which is very oppressive.
So I'm just gonna.
Yeah. There you go. Yes.
Wow.
Okay,
I would be.
That can't be real. That's gotta be a
terrified of her.
gag.
I would be very uncomfortable around that person. You know, I'm like, oh, you're dangerous. That's a very dangerous mind right there. That's That's what propaganda doing. That's a weaponization of the mind. That's exactly.
But at the
what their
same
goal is,
time,
to make that
it looks
mind
so
right
absurd.
there.
How do you take her serious?
I would just keep her going.
Well, yeah, she's too absurd for me. I'm just kind of like, please, just stop, leave. You're bringing all of our vibe down.
Well, they're the type of people that they'll call the authority. Those are narcs. So when eventually they're going to set up, the SS basically for this stuff, there's going to be another Capitol Police. There's be a federal police besides the FBI. We love our three-letter agencies. I mean, NSA is pretty freaking new, and Homeland Security is really new. Like we didn't have the Department of Homeland Security until 9/11. You know, that's a very, very young department to have, and very manipulative. So they can definitely be used Homeland Security to say you're not allowed to have this speech. You can't be this way. And, that's the person that will call Homeland Security against what they think is a right wing extremist, and he's just a guy. He's a veteran. No, they can't see it. That's a very dangerous mind.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the deal was with it because it looks like it was posted from her thing, and I was like, wait, what? So I opened up the comments, and she's playing a satire character mocking the left.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Have
God.
you ever heard this one quote I actually have written down?
There's
No.
people like
From
that, like that. So it makes me wonder if those TikToks are just satires. Most of their satires, and we're just getting angry about
hold on.
satires.
There's a quote that is from William Pitt the Younger. He was British Prime Minister at one point, and it goes something like this. Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedom. It is the argument of tyrants. It is the creed of slaves. I don't think much more needs to be said.
No, other than let's pay attention to that so we don't repeat this cycle again, which we're doing.
Too late.
Yeah. Well,
it's like, hey, let's not do that. Oh crap, we're doing this.
Something that I thought was hilarious was Ben and Jerry's complaining that we should give land back, and it's like, dude,
I've
you
been wanting
own
to talk
land
about
that's
that all
been
night.
stolen.
I forgot about that too. Yeah.
Oh, it's the funniest damn thing.
Did you see the interview on Fox News with the actual tribal leader that wants Ben and Jerry's to get off
No.
the headquarters land? He wants that land back. You know, like put your money
That's
where your mouth
great.
is, bro.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. It's like if you're gonna preach it, you should probably start with yourself first.
Okay, Kahuna says, I was screamed at to wear a mask in a gas station, so I came in and put on 3 masks, announcing each one of them. Then I tied a sweatshirt around my head. The lady working there did not think I was funny.
No, they
Yeah,
don't.
I
They
got
don't give a
kicked out of
fuck.
so many places because I was like, I'm wearing the government's face diaper of submission. Screw off. And then at one point I thought I was going to lose my job over those arguments, but I was just refusing to do it. And then the hospital kind of had me over barrel. That's when Sonnet started having her health issues and was spending more time in the hospital than not. And every time we had to go there to see her meant I had to wear a mask. And it's like, you guys got one of the very few things that to hold over my head to get me to put one of these freaking rags on.
And that's just evil.
Well, it's not like they were doing it to me. It was just they were doing it to everybody. It was not like
Well,
they were
I know,
singling
but
me out, and a lot of people actually believed it was a help. I
still
don't.
see today. Like I went to the Vons or something the other day and get something, and there's 2 very liberal looking couple and their masks on, thinking they're doing the right thing.
I still sometimes see people driving in a car, their own personal car, by themselves wearing a mask.
Oh,
I'm
that
like,
scares
wow.
me.
God,
that scares me. I'm like,
that level of
please be able to
stupidity
hit your
is
brake
scary.
behind me.
I mean,
Do
I
not ram
might
into me.
I might get that a little bit if it's the middle of freaking winter. Their heat wasn't working, and that does help keep. When I would wear a balaclava on the bike to keep my face warm, okay, I get that. But who do we just lose?
Oh, Maji, she had a bounce.
Maji just left.
All right, have a good one, Maji.
Time is a flat circle, fool. Well, I would say things are very circular.
Yeah, I went to move on, and that the highlighted comment was like way up above the screen already. Oh, it's a big comment. I got to read the whole thing before I can post it. See, I knew people who were told to get the vaccine or they would lose their jobs. And because we live in Washington, they said no and they were fired unlawfully.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Oh, some people got so screwed by that whole deal. I mean, I didn't bother with it. You can't, I don't even take the flu shot. What makes you think I'm going to touch this thing?
I tried pointing out the Nuremberg Code to a number of people, and that didn't work. But somebody else pointed out the fact that that's HIPAA data.
My parents made me watch people post the final message to a family in order to get the shots. What made me get them was that Walmart was paying me $150 for them.
Yeah, if you end up with some sort of problem, it's going to cost you a lot more than $150 to fix it.
Yeah.
As a friendly reminder, Frequency Studios, Wrangler, Trippy Soul, Never Evermore, the Lord, I know I mispronounced that, the Lord Otter, and Radar Productions. We are not medical physicians. We are not doctors. We are not giving medical advice. Proceed.
That's right. I'm an otter.
Exactly. Do you want an otter giving medical advice?
And I am the personification of tinfoil hat.
And I'm a bird.
I do
we have
way
a
too many
bird,
drugs.
we
You don't
got
want to listen to
otter,
me.
We got Trippy, and I don't know what I am, but don't trust us. Don't trust us. Now proceed with the conversation.
And if I
We're
close
okay
my
for
eyes and
5
think
minutes.
real hard, I'm a cat.
Squeak,
Hey.
squeak, motherfucker.
That was pretty good.
Kahuna says, by the way, at the Lord Otter, thanks for helping me with my character sheet the other day. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
it's no
probably going to have
problem.
to be picking your brain for that as well, because I have no idea what I'm doing yet.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a unique system. It's not conventional D&D, so I'm definitely willing to help with that.
And keep in mind, even though I have played D&D, that was back in 93. So that's how long it's been since I played.
Second edition, possibly first.
Well, this is more of a generic rule system, and Billy Bob Sack was him and I were playtesting how combat goes in it just the other night, and I think he had his own doubts about it, but once we started like getting into the combat, he was like, "Oh, this is fun. It actually makes more sense than a lot of what D20 systems do." And I was like, "Yeah, it makes sense once you actually start rolling the dice, and you're like, oh, this feels natural." It's one of those systems, and I've kind of warmed up to it over the years.
That sounds good. I think
Well, I'm sure to provide plenty of comedy as I fumble through not knowing what the hell I'm doing.
I think
Don't worry, I think that's a lot of us when it comes to TTRPGs.
The last D&D like game I played was Pathfinder and Starfinder, and I think I had a character get up to like second or third level or something where you're supposed to pick a kit or something, and I had no clue that back in second edition D&D you picked a class. Maybe you were a multi-class, so like a fighter mage or something, but this thing where, well, I want to be a warrior, and then I get up to a certain level and now I got to pick something else in order to be able to continue my character. I was like, what? I kind of walked through it with other people in the group, and I was like, this is the kind of the character that I want. So they're like, oh, well, okay, you want to pick this kit, and because you can do this, that, and the other thing. Okay.
It doesn't help that Pathfinder's a pretty rules-heavy system at times. There's a lot going on with Pathfinder. It gives them more of a chance to balance the system, but there's a lot more to keep track of anyway.
Yeah, back then when I was gaming, my friend Bruce, who was game master for all this, it was mostly Dungeons and Dragons, but he had Danger International. He had, was it Rifts? I don't know. He had a few. He had another Space Age one going. But the thing is, he had all this data written down, conversions for character sheets, how to take a character and convert it from one system over to the other, because he didn't use modules. He built out his own worlds, and it turned out that the cool thing was there was this elf in the D&D world named Cap, and he was called a desert elf, and he said they're pretty much tall. They're all about 6 feet tall, but and it's typical elf features, but they had dark skin and blonde hair. He says they all look like California surfer dude elves. And but the thing is, if you keep playing with him and then you start playing one of his other games, his space game, you meet a man with pointed ears, dark skin, blonde hair, 6 feet tall, named Cap. It's the same character. He's not actually an elf. He's an alien, and you don't know it in his other game. So he had all his games, all the continuities interconnected right down to frickin' currencies. The guy was a genius. I mean, the dude builds worlds is what he does.
That first one
should get a
sounds
hold
like
of him.
Athos. Let's see, what was it? Dark Sun.
It's also a ton of work.
Yeah, well, he had been building it bit by bit over like 20 something years of gaming.
Oh, that
And
explains it.
Yeah, but he's very good game master. It's like whenever we got together, we wanted him to DM, but he, bit by bit, year after year, he had added more lore, more interconnectivity, and when you step back and look at all his continuity, it was like, holy crap! He built a freaking universe just to play.
That's part of the fun of game mastering, though. Uh, a lot of One of the most fun ways to DM a game is to, I mean, you're at least at first, you're not going to know every little detail about whatever setting or world you have, but at the very least, you have an outline. You know what's going on there, what's most important to everyone living in that world. And you'll usually have like an outline of like what places there are, what's going on there, and then on a smaller scale, what quests there are, what problems everyone's having. And having all of that knowledge while players are kind of like going bit by bit, trying to solve one problem after another, an unexpected choice or decision comes along the way, and then you kind of put two and two together. You're like, hey, wait on a second. This way over here actually affects that. So it's going to have a unique effect that I didn't think of. And that whole paradigm just kind of shifts, and it makes the game so much more fun.
Yeah, he even had things figured out for like if he took one character out of a game and put him into another, he had to figure out the scaling as well. For example, his D&D world took place on a rocky planet the size of Jupiter. So he was like, okay, if I take a character out of that and put them in Danger International on Earth, how strong are they compared to everybody else? Because they've been in much higher gravity their whole lives. And I mean, for each world he knew how many G's it was to be on the planet, how much stronger or weaker the species on that planet would be compared to peoples from other planets. And he got real detailed. The funny thing was his dwarf. A dwarf got knocked out through some kind of dimensional rift and disappeared from his D&D game, and then you later found him in Danger International. Everybody thought he was just a midget, but no, he was actually a dwarf who clean shaved to blend in. He's been around since the Civil War, and he was a weaponsmith, so he was building guns. And only a few people knew who he actually was, and because he came from that other world, he was much, much stronger than he looks like he should have been.
Wow.
I got to contact this guy and get him in here because his imagination is pretty cool.
What it vaguely reminds me of is something like the Eternal Champion multiverse, where in each version of what Michael Moorcock made up, there's different versions of characters, and they can cross different planes of existence, basically just cross over into his other books. I know it's not one-to-one, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind whenever you start talking about interconnected settings like that, where it crosses genre very easily.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just amazing how he left no detail unturned. The conversions and everything. He had just notebooks and notebooks of like how to adapt and the rule changes to make sure everything stayed consistent to how he developed it. And at one point we were actually playing a game and writing down everything that happened because the plan was we were going to make a novel out of this adventure, and unfortunately life happened, jobs, separate ways, all that.
Kahuna asked a funny question. How hard is it to keep a game on the rails as a DM?
That I cannot answer. I've never DM'd.
I've seen some stay on the rails quite easily just because the players kind of wanted to go down whatever route the DM was going. And then I've seen other games where so as one really hilarious example was a bunch of guys sat down at the table and they all had their characters, and there was a lady that was doing the session. It was one of the sessions that they did at one of the conferences, right? And so she had it all figured out, what all they were going to do and stuff. And the guys were all playing female characters, and the first thing that they wanted to do was go shopping, and they wasted the entire session going shopping.
That's actually a fairly common problem in just about any RPG session. If the players are in a town, the possibility is quite high that they may spend the better part of that session shopping for better stuff.
Yeah, well, the whole point was they were joking with her and giving her a bad time because they were specifically trying to go through and do a game shopping session rather than at the end, go, okay, we're going to buy this or that, or like quickly go through stuff. They wanted to role play out the whole entire shopping session. And she kept trying to get them back let's get back off to the dungeon and do things. And no, they wanted to get their nails done. They wanted to buy a purse, just crazy stuff.
That actually sounds like a really fun session.
I don't remember if it was an article I read or a video I listened to or something. It was like a year or two ago about some guy who was DMing, and they brought some chick came into the group and like, hey, we want to play too. And it turned out she was an activist. And so they all sit down to play, and he's like, okay, there's a lich coming gonna attack the town. It's gonna be here in a few days, and you come here to warn them and help them prepare. And this chick kind of took over about, well, what's the political structure of this town? And ended up doing some activist rant and got the whole party going through and spreading propaganda to the town and pushing political agendas in the town. So the DM went with it. He just kept going with it. And he's like, fine. And by the end, he's like, you now have equal rights. You have this and all this in the town. And she's like, yes. And he goes, and the lich comes and wipes you all out. And she goes, hey, that's not fair. He goes, I told you at the very beginning the lich was coming. You did nothing to prepare.
Yeah.
You got nothing you can do now. You're screwed.
That's the whole point.
Bye.
You got 5 days, You got 5 days a week, whatever. You got to solve things within that time frame. Who cares about the political structure of whatever? Just get things done.
It's like, we came to fight a lich, and you wanted to talk politics. Fine. The lich ended your politics.
Unfortunately, I did have a session that's kind of went along those lines. So this was a couple of years back where it was a simple setup. Just ogres were pretty much like keep holding a town at ransom. They were basically little more than thugs, just kind of extorting the town. Then my players at the time, they ended up turning it into Marxist propaganda, literally reading off prose from Das Kapital, and basically fostering a mob riot, which was
why
session got weird. It really did.
Oh, it's just a little on the line, but I'm posting storm crows. The first thing I'm going to do as my character is create tampon bombs, because I'm too cheap to buy pipes, and it can double as a bioweapon.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. I probably just screwed my channel reading that, but it was too damn funny.
666 reason why we're all going to hell.
It was worth it.
Guilty Gearhead says based lich.
All my friends are.
Just need to bully the bullies.
And another thing is what kind of group do you have? I've been in groups where you've got a bunch of good characters, and then you've got like one or two evil characters, and they're conspiring against each other, and all kinds of crazy stuff goes on. And then I've had other groups where one character is lawful and another is chaos, and just watching the dynamic between the two of them is hilarious. Like one specific instance, one character is lawful neutral, and he's like, okay, you need to give the guy his coin purse back because he's the town mayor or whatever. So the chaotic neutral thief dumps out the coin sack, puts 1 copper back in it, and throws the coin sack back at the guy. Well, the mayor wanted his coin purse back. He got his coin purse back. The lawful guy got what he wanted because the mayor got his coin purse back, and the thief got what he wanted, the contents of the coin sack.
Well, so everybody should be happy then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what we got to do is we got to get all the stats on the Iron Age characters and figure out how to put them into the TTRPG systems.
We really do. I can't wait to make my own otter character and have it be a part of this world.
Oh, down in the chat. Oops, I'm hitting wrong buttons here. Damn it, I'm a Gen Xer. Why am I doing boomer stuff? Okay, Stormcrow said, "Are you all brave enough to have me as your DM?" Kahuna
No.
answered,
I will take the coward
If
role.
I ever play a game with you as the DM, I will be a goody two shoes who never does anything out of line.
I'll play the wild mage.
Oh, man.
Shalar TTP RPG. Woo!
Woo! I don't know how crazy the wild mages are in the newer rule books, but wild mages in second edition were hilarious.
I don't think I've ever played a wild mage in the later editions. I think the only time that wild magic really affected anything was if you rolled a 1 on any of your rolls, then wild magic happened, which is I mean it is a chaotic element, but I don't know how it stacks up to AD&D or older editions.
Pretty much like Orko.
Well, so
when you
one
say
of the-
wild mage, spells tend to go awry.
Yeah, so they're tapping into like a different realm or something, and so in some cases you may get an overpowered spell, or in some cases you may fart instead, or you may shoot butterflies at the person, or different things could happen.
Pretty much either the player or the DM has a table at the side. If they end up getting a certain kind of roll that ends up triggering wild magic, they end up rolling on that table, and usually it's some really wild fucking effect that happens, and it can be pretty damning or pretty funny, just depending on what gets rolled.
Actually, what was it called in the Salvatore series? Were they called the Harkles or something? I think they were wild mages, and they were always, whenever they showed up, it just got goofy.
I don't remember that. Although I do remember probably one of the best wild mage spells that we had happen in our campaign was the guy cast a fireball. And due to the wild magic rolls, it ended up with permanency on it. And so it was just like an exploded thing that was always there, and we were in the Underdark, so every time we went by it we had to dig through and go through the side passage around it.
Hey, I think I tend to think about beholders because it's such an interesting physiology. I mean, how does that even work? Their bodies are pretty much just spheres. They hover, but they have eyes all over it. Wonder how that works.
I mean, that's
Magic.
only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to D&D monster design. It gets weird after a certain point.
Yeah, probably similar to the Back to the Future hoverboard. It's probably he emits some kind of repulsion field or something, just magnetic repulsion. I can't think of anything else other than just straight up magic, which is in D&D, obviously. But I guess there are creatures that are just magical in nature, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what the deal is with the beholder, because there's even undead beholders with various different weird powers.
Now, are beholders sentient or animalistic?
They're sentient.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could sit and have a conversation with one. He could be a dick or he could be cool.
Possibly.
In the Forgotten Realms setting, they have a beholder as like a mob boss for one of their cities.
Yeah.
He's got eyes everywhere. What would happen if you took a laser pointer and shined it in one of the beholder's eyes?
I'm not sure.
Partial blindness, an explosive reaction. Who knows?
Just one eye is like, ow, 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 but all the rest are fine. Now, that's got to be kind of crappy. I mean, if you think of how tender an eye is, and if you got eyes all over, it's like, whoa, you're pretty prone, I would think.
And on top of that, each eye has a different power.
That
Yeah,
I did
all
not
this-
know.
So-
I
so
never
all-
really encountered beholders much in the games I played, so I don't know much about them. But
all the
my
stocks
biggest,
coming off, all the stocks coming off of the. So you have the main central ball, which has a singular
Mm-hmm.
eye in the mouth, but then you have lots of different stalks coming off of it, and on each one of those you also have an extra eye, and each of those eyes has a different power.
how many eyes are typically? Is there an average? Like, there's so many on.
I think the average is 10 or something like that.
But
I mean, I constantly think of that critter from Big Trouble in Little China when I think of beholders.
Yeah, it's very much like a beholder.
Except that has two primary eyes rather than one.
And its tongue is also an eye.
You see, this I know a
that's
little bit
weird.
about.
Hey, welcome back.
Hey, done with my stuff. So yeah, essentially
Head stuff.
in
Head stuff.
what is it? DDO, which is based off of the Stormreach, Zendrick. What the heck's it's called? But they are considered outsiders from the plane of Zoriat. So there's a certain amount of chaos there, and that's kind of where they derive their floaties from.
Now,
The real
are they
question-
are they very powerful beings, or
Yeah, well, they're kind of in the mid range.
so we need more than just a laser pointer? We
Yeah.
need.
Jewish space lasers.
Yep.
So, but yeah, and actually they're really really nasty creatures. So when you come up against them, especially if you're a magic user, because that anti-magic cone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, do they emit a anti-magic field of some sort?
Yeah.
I believe one of their eyes does. Yeah.
What if we just shoot them?
That kind of sort of works, but like.
That's why shotguns always work.
One of the other weird creatures that I like are the Elithids, the Mind Flayers. They've also been called squid faces.
The Elithids?
Yeah, but they have psionic powers if you allow psionic powers. Otherwise, they're seen as like a magical extension or something. But they have mass dominate, which is annoying to deal with.
Yeah, now, what was it? I was about to ask you about something and my mind went blank. I know, way too common an occurrence, but oh yeah. Do you remember the show Mighty Max? Any of you?
That sounds familiar.
Oh, they dug into so much mythology. It had one season. They set up for the second, but it got canceled because the network said it was too violent. It was a really cool show. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to. Oops, I closed the tab by accident. I'm going to find the opening sequence to this show. Take the copyright
I do remember
thing.
that.
And, okay, this should.
Or at the very least, I remember commercials for it.
Okay, let me bring this up. This is the opening sequence to Mighty Max. Let's see if this jogs any memories.
Oh yeah, okay, this kid.
Yeah, the hat.
This was definitely a 90s production.
And that's Richard Mull, Moosh from Night Court.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the bird.
Bull from Night Court.
Yeah, but there was one recurring villain. He started off as a regular human, and he kept trying to evolve himself and advance himself. And one of the ways he advanced himself in his first appearance episode, I think, was a third eye. But he kept changing himself, and by the time he was done, he was like this psionic powerhouse, and he looked just like an Elithid. He ended up with a tentacle face, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
I loved this show. I thought this show was awesome, and after the first
Vaguely
season, they
remember it.
canceled it.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. Yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
after my time.
They've seen reruns.
Well, I loved all the lore they had in there because they they mined so much mythology and combined it all. And I mean, we all like to do that anyway,
Yeah.
so it was right up my alley.
I liked shows that did that, and like another one that was cool that did that was Gargoyles. Gargoyles really knew their mythology.
Light amplification by stimulation of emitted radiation. What?
Laser.
Ah.
Yep.
Well, that just deserves one more.
Space laser.
That's what it stands for.
I actually, when I was much younger, and when I was a young lad, I had a job as basically a lab assistant with a guy who had a PhD in optics with a specialty in lasers. And the guy was a freaking mad scientist. And this guy could make, a laser out of like a stick of chewing gum and, a bundle of wire. So
Let me show you how to MacGyver this thing.
yeah. Well, he wasn't that cool, trust me.
Blows up Alderaan with it.
I kid you not, he was the typical angry mad scientist. So I'm surprised they came out of that job alive.
Let's see, what was the show that MacGyver ended up on? Was that Stargate SG-1?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I know somebody that watched Stargate SG-1 simply because MacGyver was on it. And
Yeah,
I do
well,
know they
he had a good screen presence, and I have seen the newer
Yeah.
MacGyvers. It's a pretty cool show, but I can't think of it as MacGyver because it had a completely different feel to it.
Yeah. And they did joke a bunch about MacGyver. Like, I'm pretty certain they have one specific line in there where, can you MacGyver that or something?
Yeah, it was actually in the first episode. They were looking at the device they used to get the gate to dial in, and they were using all these supercomputers and stuff. And she's looking at the alien tech there to operate the Stargate on the other end. She's like, we had to use so many massive computers and stuff to MacGyver something together that would do what this does. I don't think they ever made another MacGyver reference since then, though, that I saw anyway. I never saw the whole series, but I watched quite a bit of it. I thought it was really cool. It was one of the best shows on TV at the time, in my opinion.
They had one or two other ones, I think, but they were like more obscure references rather than specifically MacGyver. Like, I think he used like a paperclip in something or different things like that.
Yeah. But like I said, though, the newer MacGyver shows it was pretty cool, but I don't see it as MacGyver. It is just a little off for me. Same thing with the newer Magnum shows. I thought that was a cool show, but I
There's
don't.
a newer Magnum show?
Yeah, as much fun as the
PI?
show is, I just don't see them as the Magnum characters. Their personalities, their tone, their presence is very different.
Yeah, Tom Selleck was just way too iconic.
Yeah.
In that.
Oh, yeah. Do they have the chopper at least? In the new Magnum PI, do they have at least the helicopter?
Yes.
Okay.
He's got the chopper pilot. Higgins is a woman in this one.
Oh God.
Yeah. But believe it or not, she's actually likable. I mean, she does do the girl bossing here and there, that's for sure. I mean, they kind of gave her good reason for it. She was MI6, so she is well trained, and to her credit, she is very fit. The actress who plays her, she is very fit. She keeps herself in good shape. She looks like an athlete. but I still couldn't stand it when she went and just easily flipped some guy twice her size over her shoulder. I'm like, still, no, that's.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I could see her as a force to be reckoned with, but then they just have her toss a dude like she is a dude. It's like, no, that's not. It would be a little more finesse than that, I would think.
The Kurt Russell Stargate movie was really good. I love that, and the way that they go from O'Neill from the movie to O'Neill in the TV show, I appreciated that.
Yeah, and what's his name? Who took James Spader's spot as Daniel? The first
Yeah.
episode, he was almost identical to James
Yep.
Spader's version, and then he got the haircut and made him look more his own thing after that. But it was really neat how they were sticking to that source material as much as possible. They even had a few of the actors return to reprise their roles from the movie.
Yeah. O'Neill with 2 L's. Oh yeah, his friend from the movie was the one that got infected, and they ended up and he was trying to escape through the Stargate, and yeah, pretty sure that guy was actually from the movie.
Yeah, their buddy. That's right. They made friends with one guy in the movie, and then he ended up the Goa'uld possessed him.
Yep.
And did they end up like recasting him later episodes, or I can't remember. It's been years since I've seen any of it.
I don't remember. I think they had him show up in later episodes as like things that happened in the past or something.
Perhaps.
Because I think the Goa'uld that took him over was part of some of the Goa'uld plans or something. I don't remember. It's been a while.
I remember they did expand out that universe quite a bit, and they had SG-1, SG
Stargate
Atlantis,
and then
SG
Universe. I think.
I never followed Atlantis and Universe. Well, wasn't there one other, or was that it?
There may have been something else, but I do know that there was a couple of direct to DVD movies trying to finish out Stargate SG-1, because they were starting to get into that religious space group or whatever that was causing all kinds of problems, and they had a resolution to that as a direct to DVD thing.
Kahuna asked, does anyone get old fantasy Robert E. Howard vibes from Stargate technology?
Yeah, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I do a little bit, especially in the movie. I'm not entirely sure so much with SG-1 or SG Atlantis, but in the movie there's a lot of tapping into ancient history and old cultures to try and expand on the Stargates and the alien technology. And I mean, that's a pretty common route with what Robert E. Howard does with his writing. There's a lot of research into the ancient world, very old history.
Yeah.
Ultimate Kahuna asks, for potential topic, what is everybody's nicest quality book or most treasured? Well, that's tough for me to say right now because I've just started collecting books again. I don't have any of the old ones I used to have. I've moved and life has just been disrupted so many times. They're all long gone. So
I
I don't
answer
know. I'm
that.
kind of starting it all over again.
I can answer that. I have an Alan Lee Lord of the Ring, Alan Lee illustrated Lord of the Rings edition. It came out, I think, probably in the late 90s. And that I'm a big fan of Alan Lee's artwork. He has this sort of, because he only does like sort of fantasy and mythological stuff. And it is one of those things that I love. That sort of, he has like this sort of whimsy and sort of, I want to say like a dreamlike and in some instances a nightmarish quality to it. That's my favorite book. I also have an Alan Lee illustrated Hobbit, and the newer books that are coming out, like Children of Hurin and The Fall of Gondolin. those are all illustrated by Alan Lee too. The only thing I don't have, and I don't think it'll ever come out, is an Alan Lee illustrated Silmarillion.
My biggest sentimental book set is a box set of Lord of the Rings with The Hobbit, and I think it dates back into the 60s maybe. It was a box set that my dad picked up whenever he was overseas somewhere, and he ended up giving it to me in high school, I believe. It's not necessarily in the best quality, but it's how I read The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings originally. I ended up buying a new box set because I'm thinking that's kind of fallen apart if I tried reading it again.
Yeah, I think I need to go and get myself new copies of the Woods Out Back trilogy from R.A. Salvador. Seeing how that is the the Woods Out Back is the book that inspired me to even start trying to write to begin with. It only took me over 20 years to actually do it, but hey, that's kind of where it started for me. So I probably should go pick up copies of that again because just to have them because that is kind of a pivot point for me.
I mean, isn't Wizards of the Coast planning on revising a lot of the original old school Forgotten Realms lore?
Oh gosh, I hope not.
That I do not know.
I remember hearing about it months and months back. I'm not entirely sure if they're still planning on it.
Oh wow. A.S. Bernard says my grandfather has 250 plus year old family Bibles that I will be inheriting when he dies. That is
Oh wow.
Yeah, that is something you
Yeah.
protect. That is incredible.
Well, I guess technically it's not Wizards of the Coast. It was a TSR publication. I have books 1 and 2 of the Greyhawk series. And those were the only 2 novels that were written by E. Gary Gygax. The rest of the series was written by Rose Estes, and she didn't stick to any of the rules or anything.
Yeah, Gary Gygax is a very good storyteller.
Yeah.
I remember picking up a book by his. I saw it in my local bookstore just down the road. And normally, if I don't know the quality of a book, I'll just pick a random page, start reading, see what I think. And I was like, hey, a lot of the fantasy I personally connect to, a lot of pulps, pretty clearly enough. Gygax steers into that a lot. I really liked his writing style.
Was it a newer series?
I think it was one of his older series. It may have been Greyhawk. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, because I know, let's see. I think the only way, or at least the only way that I've been able to find the Greyhawk books was I stumbled upon them used. I don't even remember where I stumbled upon them, but I had been, I ended up checking out and reading the Rose Estes books from the library. It may even be that the 2 books that I have, I checked out from the library and accidentally forgot to return. I don't know. But I don't think so because they don't have like the library stuff inside of them. So I highly doubt that. But yeah, the first couple of books were pretty good with the character. You know, I think he was a thief or something. He did some different things. Oh, he was trying to learn magic or something.
That kind of reminds me of the Dying Earth books, which I know inspired Gary Gygax quite a bit. Kugel is kind of the main thief in that series, and he gets fucked over a lot, but at the same time, he's a cunning enough bastard to pull himself back out.
Yeah, unfortunately, whenever it gets to book 3 and Rose Estes takes it over, he ends up casting a polymorph spell, which he's too low to even be able to read it off the scroll in order to be able to cast it. So it's like he messes it up the spell, but the thing is you're not supposed to be able to even do that in Dungeons and Dragons. So she threw all the rules out the book, or you know.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to go in the same vein as Gary Gygax, especially if he has a whole rule system that he's abiding by, to just kind of throw that in a corner and say, oh, this is the exact same as Gary Gygax. That's disingenuous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool there. What here's Brennan went on to say, one of the Bibles has a picture or two of his great 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 grand uncle from when uncles from when they went to Alaska during the gold rush there.
Wow.
Ultimate Cahoot asked that sick Bruna, are the Bibles in English? Yes, KJV, King James Version. The wise words from Redoubt right there.
Yep.
I don't really, when it comes to these books, because when I buy books, I buy them as cheaply as possible. So all my history books are the cheapest print I can find. I don't have too many actually old texts. There are a few Johnstown flood books. They go back to 1889, 1890 when the catastrophe occurred. That's like as old as it goes. That being said, if there was a sentimental collection I do have the Nausicaa manga in hardback.
Oh, wow.
And I don't. And you have to keep in mind, I really don't read fictional stories a lot. Let alone do I read comics a lot. So, for me to fork up the cash to buy this, I bought this. No, I didn't buy this. This was a birthday present, I think. So, and for my
That's a hell of a
parents,
birthday present.
yeah, for my parents to give me a manga, because that must have been a scavenger hunt in itself, because they don't know any idea what a manga is.
Yeah, when you
So,
don't know and you go looking
yeah.
for one, that becomes overwhelming real quick.
Yeah. Well, with the wonders of Amazon, that helps a little bit.
That's less
But
of an
anyways,
omnibus and
Yeah,
more of a
search engines
tome.
are an advantage.
yeah, there's two. Yeah, it's two omnibuses. I forget how the actual volumes of the original manga is. And when they reprinted this, I believe it came out. It was issued in English at one point, but when they reissued it for the omnibus, they put it in its original right to left format. So I have a lot of memories of this because I would read it in high school in classes, and everybody would look at me like, what the hell is this kid doing? And there I am reading this manga, and I'm reading right to left, and nobody can figure out, why am I holding the book like this? Why am I reading like this? It's like, well, that's how it's set up. On I not how do I want to word this? Studio Ghibli did the Nausicaa movie, and then Hayao Miyazaki wrote the manga. He wrote the manga for 2 years just so he can get funding to make it into a movie, because he had no interest in making a manga. He's like, I want to make movies, but they're like, well, you have to have a manga to make a movie. So like, fine, I'll make a manga. When he finished the movie, he kept writing the manga, and he wrote it all the way until 1992. So he worked on that for over 10 years.
Wow.
So this was a manga he never wanted to write, but you can see how big just the first omnibus is, how much he ended up writing. And it is truly, if you're into Miyazaki, if you're into Studio Ghibli, this is Miyazaki uncensored. There's no restrictions because it's just pen and paper. It's this is the only really like collector's set I have for like any type of like fiction books and stuff. So yeah, definitely a
nice
favorite.
That's just pure dedication right there.
I could kind of relate on the book he never wanted to write.
Yeah.
I avoided writing my book. I was looking for any way to convey the story that did not involve sitting to write a novel. Turns out the only way I was able to do it was by writing a novel. So, and now I'm doing another. What the hell?
You can have scribbles like Miyazaki does in the Nausicaa manga, where there were periods where he didn't write for several years, and he'll just write a little scribble in the magazine, just basically cursing everybody. It's hilarious. Like, you people want more. You're making me suffer.
But then you start to freak yourself out. It's like, I did this with him. I did that. I did that. What can I do that's different, that steps it up without ruining everything I've established? You start to reach a point where you just like, you become mentally your own worst enemy.
I don't know. I only got 2 freaking books out. But I will tell you, man, I do freak out about that a lot. Like it was like with the Wizard Stone. I got a lot of people who really liked the Revenant and the Tomb and liked that format, and the Wizard Stone was not that. And it's like, have I created a book that have I set a standard with my first book that I can't, whose expectations I can't live up to in the second one? So
Yeah, I got that same feeling going right now.
and so that's the thing that's really always like it's like the one that I'm writing now. Okay, will this follow up be as good as the last one? And so I mean, so that's one of those things. It's always in the back of your freaking head.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'll ever get rid of it.
Yeah, and as encouraging as my review from King Bob was, I look at that. I'm like, can I do that again?
Again, yeah, that and that was another thing I was worried about as well. It's like, oh, everybody really liked this. Am I going to be able to pull this off again? So, I get it. I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah, but I mean, even though I don't even have my second book out yet, I have 5 others planned. A couple of branching series ideas, and then what happens after the series completion. Well, because after that, the marshals are going off looking for a particular. They're multiverse hopping, looking for a particular universe because one of their team members is from elsewhere, and they're trying to find it. So then I got to sit there and work out what are my multiversal mechanics. I got to figure out the Omni Watch and how all this happens and make sure everything remains consistent with everything I've established before. And I've done freaked myself out going, this has gotten too big and there's more I want to do. What the hell?
Yep. Yeah, I know exactly. Well, I wouldn't say it's gotten mine. Mine's gotten too big. I'm used to dealing with large projects at work. And so it doesn't dealing with something that's pretty ambitious doesn't really phase me. But it's what does phase me is because I'm doing things book by book. Am I going to be able to pull each one of them off? Or if I screw up the 4th book, will I lose all of my audience?
Yeah.
And, that's always a fear in the back of my head too. So,
and the head could play some nasty tricks
Yep.
on you when you're trying to figure shit out. But by the way, I don't know. I posted it like I think a week ago in the Gilded. It's just a little short. It's not up on the channel or anything. It was a excerpt from an impromptu live stream where I discussed my thoughts on how Cedric versus Theo Animanth. I don't know if you ever saw that.
No, I didn't see that.
How Cedric won.
Oh, woohoo!
Barely.
I wrote a badass.
But yeah, I want to start doing more and more of that. Is those nerd face-offs with all the IronAge characters.
Round 2.
Yeah. Well, they both Hall Cedric and Theo have more books coming. So as things go on, it could get more interesting.
I'll go ahead and answer the question in the comments. Christian was asking about the bande dessinée for Conan, and the series name for that is called The Cimmerian. That's very much the adaptation of Robert E. Howard's works that's being worked on over in France. I believe it's by the same team that's been doing the Elric bande dessinée. I have the series on my shelf, and I've personally enjoyed it a lot so far. It's one of those adaptations where, along with the comic translation of the story, it also comes paired with the actual prose from Robert E. Howard. There are some creative liberties, but I do really enjoy the series so far. I've like all 4 or 5 volumes, how many there are out right now. It is a really fun and engaging series. The art is beautiful.
So it's a comic book or a graphic novel?
Yeah. So if you're familiar with bande dessinée, it's It's a comic adaptation of Conan.
Yeah, I have not heard of it before at all. So this is all news to me. I mean, I know who Conan is, but
Yeah.
Do you mean for bande dessinée? Are you asking
Yeah.
about that? Bande dessinée is really just French comic books. So how manga is just comics in Japan, France has bande dessinée, and with it, it's their own unique style of storytelling, different conventions, different art styles, that sort of thing.
and they had to make it sound like it's something you find in a pastry shop.
Pretty much.
I can go for a pastry right now.
Dude, I'm starving.
I'm doing a search for that, and it keeps coming up with Bondi Stone.
Just try typing in the Sumerian under Amazon. It'll show up then. Each story has its own unique art style associated with it. Some are cartoony, others are hyper realistic. There's others that go for more of a straight up medieval aesthetic. It's really neat. And it's the same team, but I think they're having their own creative team splintering up into different pairs, or different artists are tackling each story. So each one ends up feeling distinct and different.
Oh wow, that looks cool.
Yeah, it's really neat.
I'm looking at the time, and it's probably a good time to start wrapping up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's move on to some parting plugs. Before we do, anything else anybody would like to add or wanted to touch on? We don't have to wrap up this second. So if there's anything somebody want to touch on that we haven't, please say so.
Yeah, I'm starving. I'm gonna get some food.
Feed me fish.
It's 10:30, but I want to eat now.
Kahuna, I'm interested. We can talk later on Gilded.
All right. Well, let's get some parting plugs going. Start with Readout. What do you got coming up?
So, still working on the wall script. I am working on a different video project I normally do. It'll be basically a history about the events that inspired Pink Floyd's The Wall and how real world events molded how we understand Pink Floyd's The Wall. But I do all sorts of history videos, so if you want to live, explore, preserve history with me, be sure to subscribe to Readout Productions. And if you want to listen to me talk about pop culture with my friends, be sure to subscribe to the Heterochrome Media podcast, where we matchmake the oddest double features. And also, be sure to buy the Hedges book, buy his book, buy the Revenant, buy them all, buy them all,
Yep,
buy them
that's
both.
good.
We are all keep going on now. Buy the book. Oh, both your channels are linked in the description below.
Unfortunately,
And-
the links are broken.
Are they really?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
So it's a link issue, or did I put the links in incorrectly?
I don't know what it is. It just says 404 arrow with a monkey when I click them.
Really? I'm gonna have to check that out. Maybe I
Monkey.
Maybe I left the character out when I copied and pasted or something. I'll try and make sure that's fixed.
Is this your minky?
Did your dog bite?
Does your dog bite?
No.
It is not my dog.
Lord Otter, what do you got going on?
So if you want to check out my stuff, I have my blog page, Downstream Pulp, where I do reviews, articles, and the occasional short story. You can check that out with the link. On top of that, my very first book, The Curse of the Star Raids, the first book in my series called Steel and Stormbright, is nearly done. And here in the next few weeks, I'm planning to market the shit out of it. So expect that soon.
So I'm hoping you're willing to talk about it quite a bit when you get it out.
Very much so.
Because bring it on here. We'll put it up on screen. We'll talk about it. We'll rip it apart. We'll judge it. No.
Bring it on, man.
2 men enter, 1 otter leaves.
Herman.
Buy my book.
Buy the book.
Which
I-
one?
Buy all
Yes.
the books.
And actually, I went to a comic convention that actually went pretty well. Sold 11 books. It was a very slow comic convention, but it was quite fruitful. And I am currently working on the follow up to The Revenant and the Tomb. About halfway done finishing the rough. So
Nice. Raven, you hit that mute button too soon. It's your turn.
Yep. Goodness, I'm busy packing stuff up and cleaning the house up and trying to move. But I did get a little bit of writing in today. I don't know I'm gonna be able to post it anywhere yet, but I'm looking forward to doing that at some point in the future. And I believe my link is down in the description below. So you should be able to find stuff down there once I do get it out.
Awesome. Trippy.
I am the IronAge poet. TrippySoul.substack.com. That's all I have to say. I'm starving. Let's go.
He is the fortune 20 teller, and the munchies have kicked in.
Yeah. Big time.
All right. Well, I can also say buy my book, Haley Starr, Bad Kitty. This is the kind of book you could share with your family. It is all audiences, but kept clean for kids. It's a good time. Check it out. Sci-fi fantasy set in the modern day. It's a blast. If you enjoyed this presentation, hit the like. And if you didn't, I appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you next time. And God bless. Good night to everyone in the chat. We got Ultimate Kahuna, Guilty Gearhead, Stormcrow was here earlier, AS Burner, Skunk's Workshop. Guys, thank you all so much for coming out. It was good to see you down in the chat. You all have a great night.